Hello everyone, my name is Adedoyin Adegbomiwe and you're welcome to my channel. If you're a new subscriber here, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and if you're a returning subscriber, you know I love you. Thank you so much for always coming back. Thank you so much guys, I really appreciate your love and everything so far. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. So today guys, we'll be talking on an important topic I titled Causes of Juvenile Delinquency. Juvenile delinquency is one of the major social problems, as we all know, in the world today. And so therefore, it needs a lot of attention. So today, I have listed out some possible causes of juvenile delinquency. So without wasting so much of your time, let's jump right into it. The first major cause of, or possible cause of juvenile delinquency that I listed out here is lack of access to basic amenities. A child should be provided with the major basic amenities of life. For a man to live, he needs to have access to basic needs of life. That is why a man called Abraham Maslow, he drew out a pyramid where he explained and he was talking about the basic needs of man. It's called Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is where he was talking about the basic needs that a man needs in life. Where he made mention of the physiological needs. He talked about the safety needs, the love and belonging, and self-actualization. And if you look at the pyramid, it's called Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You will say that the most important, or the first hierarchy of needs there is physiological needs. This is where you talk about the basic amenities such as food, shelter, clothing, education. So for a child to live well and reduce the chances of getting involved or indulging in juvenile delinquency, they should be provided with those basic amenities. A child should be provided with food, with shelter, with clothing, with education. So all this, the lack of access to all this increases the likelihood of a child indulging in juvenile delinquency. For example, when you see a child that does not have access to food, no food, it's supposed to be 3 square meals. He doesn't even have access to one. Such a child, there are chances of him getting involved in juvenile delinquency. And remember, there are various types of juvenile delinquency. It starts with him not having food to eat. There's possibility that he gets involved in petty stealing. Before you know it, he starts to steal. Before you know it, he goes gradually and becomes an armed robber. Because he needs to have access. He needs to, get means of providing food for himself. Also, look at a child that is not in school, that does not have access to education. Such a child, a child is supposed to be, equipped, and then of course, he's supposed to be equipped with, useful things. If you don't occupy a child with education, there's something else will be taken. It will occupy him. That is why the Bible says. There's this popular saying of the idle hand is the devil's workshop. When a child is supposed to be in school just as his peers and is not in school, he can just, especially for, a child from a family of the low socioeconomic class, he can find his way into other things, dealing with other things, find himself in other places that he's supposed not to be in because he is not in school or he doesn't have access to education. So this is a major problem. Number 2, another possible cause of juvenile delinquency is peer pressure. Peers are playmates of children that they usually, meet, whether in the school, in the community, in the society, in churches, and so on and so forth. the peer group has a very high influence on these children. That is why it is very important that the first agent of socialization, which is the family, does a lot by equipping the child with instilling discipline, values, and necessary things for the child to be able to get educated on how he should go in life. Because peers have a very strong influence on children, whether consciously or unconsciously. These children see their friends, they want to do the way they do, they want to behave the way they behave, they want to, get involved in what they get involved in. So that is why parents or guardians are supposed to do well to always help to guide the kind of friends. Watch the kind of friends your children keep. Watch the kind of relationship they associate with. This is very important because the peers have a very strong influence on those children. And especially if the children, once they're getting to the ages of juvenile delinquency ranges from 10 to 17 years old. But once they're getting into the age range of 10, 11, and they're beginning to go to school, secondary schools, especially for those going to the boarding houses, they need to have been equipped with so much so that when they are choosing their friends, because as at then, the parents will not even be with them. So it is what they've been equipped with. It is the values and discipline they already have that would help them to be able to know, to see a peer and know the values and and beliefs that are not in line with what he has been taught from home. So therefore, because when they are under pressure, they have their colleagues doing a lot of things, and they feel left out. There's this pressure. It's called peer pressure that can force them at the beginning. And if they are negative peers, they are going to negatively influence that child into juvenile delinquency. Number 3, another possible cause of juvenile delinquency is lack of love. Parents, guardians, you need to take this very important. A child needs not just money, not just, for a child to grow well, there's need for balance in everything. And one of the important things a child needs is love. A child that does not, that does not have love or is not brought up with love, there are high chances that such a child will get involved in juvenile delinquency. For example, a child that is coming from a broken home where the parents are divorced, or a child that grew up seeing his father beat his mother every day, no love, or a child that is not, maybe the parents are so busy, they are of the high socioeconomic status, and they are so busy that they don't have time to give the child enough attention or show of love. Such a child, when he finds love in another place, be it a negative place, he would succumb to the love there and accept or embrace the love there, because this is something is lacking in his own. So that is why parents and guardians, regardless of your socioeconomic class, please do well to have time, create time for your children. Give them all the love and attention, because children are growing beings. They need a lot of support, emotional support for stability, because this will, if not properly dealt with, would have a very strong adverse effect on them in the future. So therefore, this is very important. Number 4, another possible cause of juvenile delinquency is what I call abuse or traumatic upbringing. A child that came from an abusive home, that has been abused all his life, such a child has a tendency of getting involved in juvenile delinquency. How do I mean? A child that perhaps was emotionally abused or has been sexually abused, maybe by the father, by the uncle or a relative of the family, or by the housemates. Such a child could develop, a psychological, it's called, it affects the psychological state of such a child. And so therefore, this might lead him or her to get involved in juvenile delinquency. If you've not watched my video on types of juvenile delinquency, I advise you to go watch it so that you can understand the types. Then you can see how this plays in. Such a child has been abused, that has been emotionally or sexually abused, has a high rate of getting involved in juvenile delinquency. And also a child that is always abused, because this abuse can be emotional, it can be psychological, it could be sexual. A child that is constantly told that he is not good enough. A child that maybe the parents every day constantly tells the child, you are stupid, you are dumb, you are dumb. You know, all those things measure up together to form a psychological state in those children. This is what causes, low self-esteem in some children. And a child that has a low self-esteem has a high possibility or a high or likelihood of getting involved in juvenile delinquency, because such a child sees himself as not good enough. So when he gets to a place of negative people or people that are not, as long as he is accepted there, he would rather be there and then continue in that line, which is, adversely impacting the child, which is not good enough. So lastly, the last possible cause of juvenile delinquency I stated out here is lack of values and discipline from their home. The first agent of socialization for children, as mentioned, is the family. The family has a lot of work to do when it comes to upbringing of a child, because every foundation and everything that will be going on in the child's life, the major influence comes from the family. So therefore, that is why parents, siblings, or guardians have so much work to do in paying attention to the foundation of these children, ensuring that proper values, ethics, and belief system are instilled into them for them to be able to turn out well, to be, positive and responsible adults in the future. So thank you so much, guys, for staying tuned on this video. Kindly like, share, and do well to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in my next video where I'll be talking about other tips on juvenile delinquency. Thank you so much, guys. I love you so much as always. Bye for now.